Today's reading is from the book Rays of One Light. Topic name is What is it to fail spiritually? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teaching of Paramahansa Yogananda. First passage is from the Gospel of Saint Matthew, chapter 25. Jesus tells the parable of 10 virgins, 5 of them wise and 5 foolish. They await their bridegroom, the Christ consciousness. The wise virgins keep the oil in their lamps, symbolic of their devotion, lit through the night. The foolish virgins place no oil in their lamps. These foolish ones are like the average devotee, going through the motion of outer ritual but keeping no fire of love burning in the heart. When the bridegroom's coming is announced, the foolish virgins realize their mistake and hasten out to purchase oil. During their absence, the Christ consciousness comes and embraces those who have been awaiting him with the devotion. The foolish ones, by their lackluster devotion, are not accepted by him. Jesus told his listeners, "Watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh." In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda describes the foolish virgin consciousness he encountered in the Mahamandal hermitage he stayed in as a young man in Banaras. "I was pleased," he wrote, "that my new home possessed an attic where I managed to spend the dawn and the morning hours. The ashram members, knowing little of meditation practices, thought I should employ my whole time in organizational duties. They gave me praise for my afternoon walk in their office. 'Don't try to catch God so soon.' This ridicule accompanied one of my early departures toward the attic. Later, during the meditation, I felt lifted as to bodily to a sphere uncircumscribed. 'Thy master cometh today.' A divine womanly voice came from everywhere and nowhere. This supernal experience was pierced by a shout from a definite locale. A young priest named Habu was calling me from the downstairs kitchen. 'Mukunda, enough of meditation. You are needed for an errand.' The Divine Mother's words were not spoken for the benefit of the priest, the foolish virgin, but for Mukunda, the wise virgin. For this was the day his Guru, Sri Yukteswar, came to him. Grieve not, friends, if you feel that you have been foolish. No error is forever. Some day, if you keep your lamp lit now, your opportunity will come. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, Krishna promises every devotee, 'Arjuna, none who walks for the self-redemption will ever meet an evil destiny.' Spiritual failure, though a deep disappointment, is always temporary. Eternal hellfire is but a projection of vindictiveness in the human mind. Thus, through holy scriptures, God has spoken to the mankind. Thank you.
So, good evening, friends. Jai Guru. So, today's topic is devotion and spiritual failure. So, this is very, very interesting topic and a little difficult also, but it's very close to my heart. So, as we are just passing a lot of tests in our daily lives, like the Jesus Christ, he passed very difficult test in his life, especially at the end of his life when he was on a cross. He was already a liberated soul. It was just the divine play which was, according to the divine play, he was just playing his part. So as the God has planned. But he was so engrossed in God's love and consciousness. And while he was on the cross, he was just praying to the Lord, Please forgive them. They don't understand what they are doing. See the love, the devotion, the sympathy he was having, because he was knowing that God's light is there in everyone. So that's why he was just praying for them and loving them, sympathizing them, all the ignorant souls, whatsoever he was doing to his body. So, like this, in our life also, we are just playing a part in this earthly movie that God has planned. So, we have to. So, what is devotion? Devotion is loving God and having deep faith in God. So, because He is the director of this earthly movie, so our parts are different. Every person is playing a different part because the karma is different. For example, we are going to just see a movie. We see a joyous part, we see a sad part in the movie, but still we enjoy the movie. So, this earthly human drama or maya or delusion, whatsoever you want to say, this is also like that. So, whatsoever we are experiencing in this life, just accept it and never be attached to it. Do your daily activities as per the planned drama that God has given you, plus deep devotion and deep meditation is the key. And if you love God and always ask for His help, He will always guide you because He only can give the unerring counsel. Nobody knows the next step or the next scene in your life. Whatever will come the next day, nobody knows. But He knows because He has planned. So when you are in a trouble, just pray to Him with deep devotion, deep love, deep faith that God, I am in this trouble. Please help me. Please help me. There should be a lot of intensity in your prayers. And slowly, you will start feeling God's presence all around. So, how to love God? We have not seen Him, we don't know Him. But when we start meditating daily and deeply, we just start feeling His divine light everywhere. In each human being, in all the stars, in all the galaxies, in every object, in all the flowers, in all the nature, everywhere. Everywhere. We just see that light. Plus, that is just made into solids and objects. That is what is called as samadhi only. So, I just want to narrate two stories, just very short stories, where I have just seen a lot of devotion. So, when Swamiji was there in the hospital in 2011, they just underwent through dialysis and everything. And I just narrated this story before also, but this is relevant. So, just I went the last day, I just wanted to take his blessings. So, I went there and he was already, the lights were off, and the Miriamji told me, Mansi, he is sleeping, let's not disturb him. Then I told her, okay, I'll just say pranam from a distance and I will leave. So when I was just holding my hand, standing on the door, Swamiji just felt my presence. And he just told Miriamji to switch on the lights, and called Mansi in. So he just blessed me at the heart center, at the point between the eyebrows. And that was the greatest blessing. I was blessed to have that blessing. So at that moment, when he was blessing me, I've just seen a great love and devotion in that deep oceanic eyes, the deep blue eyes. I cannot explain that. There was so much of deep joy, deep love, deep faith in the deep eyes. Just now, just remember that experience. My whole being is filled with that joy and that love. So that is one very blessed part of my life. And the second story is Master's younger sister Nalini. She was very, very sick at one point of time. She had typhoid fever. But she was conscious, she was regaining consciousness in between. When she was regaining conscious, she was saying to her husband, if my brother Mukanda was here, I must have been healed. So she has that much of faith and devotion for Guruji, and for Guruji and for God. And Guruji comes within 2-3 days, and her husband tells him that She is just chanting your name and she's asking for you. So already the bloody dysentery or diarrhea is there. There is no chance of her survival. Everybody has said no. Even I am a physician. Her husband was a physician, that I don't see any hope. So Guruji started praying, started nursing her, arranged for a nurse also. And within 1 week, her fever was gone. And after that, there was one more challenge, that her both legs were paralyzed. Then again he was praying and praying, but now he was little exhaustive in his prayers. He wanted help. So he went to his guru to Sirampur, to Yukteswarji. So he just told him that, Master, this is the trouble. My sister is not well. She's fine, but now there is paralysis of both the legs. What to do now? So Yukteswarji said she will be fine within a month. Just get her a 2-carat pearl bangle. So then Master said, your word is enough, Guruji, but still I will get her the 2-carat pearl bangle. So he did the same. Within 1 month, she recovered. And after that, the Yukteswarji again blessed her, told Guruji that she will have 2 daughters. Because before that, she was not having any baby. So she was feeling so much love and devotion for Yukteswarji, for Master. See, she was just near the deathbed. And because of her love and devotion, she just survived. So how to develop that love and devotion? So now the first is, Guruji has written, chanting is half the battle. Then japa, because we are always busy in our daily duties. We always say to God, we don't have time. अभी time नहीं है. अभी मुझे time निकालना पड़ेगा. So that is the only excuse we are giving. But still, Master says, you can just do japa. Whenever you are doing your duties, you can do your japa and do your meditations more deeply, with a more lot of concentration. And do your kriyas. If you are a kriyaban, at least do your kriyas twice a day. So Master has written very beautifully that we always say he is the doer. We are the instrument and he is the doer. But Master, today I just read it. Master has written, after some time, when we are deep in our devotion and meditations, we just realize that he is the instrument and he is the doer. So we are not the instrument also. So that is a very beautiful line that I read today. So then again he writes that we are very ignorant souls. Sometimes we have to pass through a lot of ironing in our lives due to bad karma. And it takes long time for each soul to reach that magnetic level of the God realization. But still, if we keep on trying with lot of love, the God will come. And we should always pray to Lord, reveal thyself. I love you, Lord. Come to me. Reveal thyself. I love God. I seek only for thee. So there is a beautiful poem in Whispers from Eternity. Thou and I are one. Due to paucity of the time, I'm not able to. There's a very big poem. So what is the ultimate goal of life, friends? It is to realize oneness in God and oneness in this light, and just play your part in this earthly drama joyfully. Joy to you, friends.
Thank you, Mansi ji. So this is the the subject that Pratik has read for us this evening is, what is it like to fail spiritually? And so I was just thinking about this topic that, and many of us, if you will put your mind, maybe you will get some more ideas. What is it like to fail spiritually? Because everybody has his own way of interpreting it. So there were 4 ways which came to me in which one person can fail. So I will share with you what came to my mind, and also solutions for those ways. And finally, we'll conclude with what, just like the master's family was in fact very had a very wide spectrum. On one hand, as Mansi ji has shared the story of Nalini, who was very devoted. On the other hand, he had a brother, Ananta, who was absolutely materialistic. So we'll share a story about that relationship also. So the failure, the word, when we came, in fact, we read one of the affirmations on success also, because that is how, if you remember in last satsang, one of the satsangs, I was sharing what Master talked about the purpose of life. If you see, the first failure, I think, is when we fail to understand why are we here, and we fail to understand what is the purpose of life, what brings me here. I don't think anybody who is sitting in this room is on that level, because if you see, Master said in one of his quotes, which we shared last time, that unless we know how to shift our attention from failure to success, from restlessness to concentration, from concentration to calmness, and calmness to divine peace, divine bliss within, all our life's labors have gone in vain. So that means, and then the next line was that if you have been able to accomplish it, then the purpose of life is gloriously fulfilled. That is what he said. So the purpose of life, I think he has summed it up in that quote. And when we fail to understand, then sometimes the disappointments, or the unpredictability of life itself gives us a jolt to wake us up. It is just like, in a dream also. If you see, you're going somewhere in the hills and suddenly you fall off the cliff, it is at that moment that you wake up. So there is some pain or some kind of disappointment which is necessary for us to shake us and to wake us up. Pain is brought to remembrance. If you remember Divine Mother in one of her when he was talking to when she was talking to Yogananda, she says at that moment, she says, if joy was ceaseless in this world, would man ever care to think about another world? And then she says, suffering is essential, because then only he realizes that he has forsaken his eternal home in God. And that is and just a few days back, maybe you have heard in the news that this very accomplished fighter pilot who went to this Dubai air show, he met with an air crash, and he lost his life in that crash. And when this news I saw on the media, it was a very sad and disappointing news, because if you think about that gentleman from his perspective, he achieved success to whatever extent, we calibrate an outward success. He was an accomplished pilot. It's not easy to become a fighter pilot in Indian Air Force. Many of you are from defense background, and to go to that level, and he was chosen among a pool of pilots to actually showcase the skill in that Dubai air show, where this was an international show. But in a flash, although he did his best to save his life and save the aircraft, but in a flash he left the scene. So you see, when these things happen in our lives, sometimes our near and dear ones, in my own family I have seen people going like this, and they were like, it was not expected that they will go so soon. So when these things happen, these are the ways in which Divine Mother is trying to wake us up. As we also talked in the prayer, Divine Mother, please wake us up from that delusion, because that is essential. Unless we keep this point in our mind, that then we are failing probably. So that is the first kind of failure that came to my mind. And there are many ways. If you see, scriptures are, if you see the solutions for that, there are many ways in which scriptures are trying to wake us up. The life is trying to wake us up. Shankaracharya himself has said that there are three greatest blessings. One is that you have come in this planet as a human being, which is not an ordinary blessing. Then he says, if you have a desire for liberation, that's another greatest blessing. The third blessing is that if you have a guru who can provide you that. These are the three greatest blessings which any human being can have in all the three lokas, he said. And I think all of us have those here, those who are sitting. And then the second line is equally important in the Vivek Chudamani, when he says that if, despite having these three blessings, if you are not doing anything about it, if you're not working towards your liberation, then it is like committing suicide, which I think can shake anybody. And Vivek Chudamani starts with that second or third shloka. The moment you read that scripture, you get to realize, okay, how deep is this understanding? And you cannot dare to waste time. If you are here, then let us come to the point. So that was the first level of failure which came to my mind. The second failure would be that we have started walking on the path, and maybe because of our past sanskars, and often it is because of our past sanskars, those vrittis, as we call it, they drag us down, and we are not able to give our 100%. Sometimes doubts come into our mind. Am I really progressing? Is something really happening? Maybe my guru doesn't love me, and so on. Doubts can come in all kinds of shades. But then, if you remember, in our own path, there are many ways. This is the time actually when we have to remind ourselves. Because if you remember, Yogananda himself said, when you say you're not progressing, he said, you are passing that decree on you. And you are blocking yourself. You are creating obstacles for yourself. And if you say, I will not find God in this lifetime, then who is saying that? You are saying that. So you are creating obstacles for yourself, nobody else. So he says, don't do that. And even encouragingly, if you see, Babaji was saying, even a little practice will free you from dire fears and colossal sufferings. Yogananda himself at one point said, if you do just 1 in 100 what I ask you to do, and at one point he said actually 1 in millionth, and then he says you will be able to find God. Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita says that those who meditate on me and love me as their very own, I supply their deficiencies and make permanent their gains. What a beautiful statement. No teacher can actually give you that. I will supply you your deficiencies. You don't have to you don't have to worry about it, provided you just focus on me. So that is the time when those doubts come, when we are failing on that level, to remind ourselves, oh, Krishna has talked about it. Babaji has said, even a little practice. There was this book I read some time back called Atomic Habits, in which, this there was this team of United Kingdom, I guess. It was a bicycling team, and they were not able to win any medal in the Olympics. They were trying hard, but somehow they were just as a second best team or third best team, they were not able to win the first prize. So the team managers, they thought about it, and they decided to change the coach. And this coach, when he came, he said, okay, he just did few finer things, very small little things. He said, okay, let us say there are 100 things which they do in a bicycling game. He just divided those 100 things, and he said, okay, I'll just make 1% improvement in all of those 100 things. So he looked at the handle of the cycle. He said, okay, can I make it ergonomically better so that there is less drag when the biker is on the cycle? He looked at the pedals and he said, maybe I can make them 1% better, just 1%, so that there is less friction when they are pedaling. He looked at even the mattress on which the players were sleeping, and he said, okay, let's make them 1% better so that these mattresses will be 1% better so that bikers have enough rest in the night. So you see, he broke down the whole game into 100 parts and just made them 1% better. And what happened? What was the result? They won the gold medal in the Olympics. And not only they won, but each time they kept winning. And this actually became one of the New York Times bestseller book called Atomic Habits, which the key here is not to think of big improvements. Now, when the word failure comes, we say, okay, failure means nobody likes failure, but the failure itself can be turned into success by just making 1% improvement. Anybody can say, okay, I can do just 1% today better than what I was doing yesterday. That is doable. And that can make a lot of difference. So that was the second level of failure which came to my mind. The third level of failure is that when we are doing good on the spiritual path, let us say we are progressing, we have been blessed enough, as Mansi ji was saying, that okay, yes, to Guru's grace, we have come to a point where we can actually feel God's presence, but we are not able to hold on to that stillness all the time. It kind of slips through us, slips through our hands. And it's like, kind of a seesaw, that one moment we are holding on to it and one moment we are just slipping through it. And there are many reminders which come to our mind, because here actually stillness is what we should be focusing on. Because why Yogananda was reminding us that stay in the self always, come down a little to do your duties, whether you have to eat or drink or do whatever, because self is still. And in that stillness, if we will stay, you will see that this life, as Mansiji was saying, then only this life will appear like a play. Otherwise, it can shake us. We may get disturbed, or we may get emotionally entangled into it. Parvati once came to Shiva, and she said, Lord, this mind is like a river. It continues to flow all the time. It is very difficult to, control the mind. It is always moving. And Shiva said, my dear beloved, this is the true nature of mind. You cannot stop this river flow. Then Parvati again asked, then how can I attain stillness, my lord? It's very difficult. Then Shiva said, don't do anything, just watch it. If you watch it flow, then what will happen? As a watcher, you will strengthen in your awareness. And in that strong awareness, no thought can stay. Thoughts will kind of dissolve into that stillness. And that is why Swami at one time said, problems dissolve in front of a concentrated mind. And even in this poem, if you see, when Samadhi poem, as Master said, we must remind ourselves this poem again and again. He was saying, spotless is my mental sky, below, ahead, and high above. What does that mean? That my sky is spotless? Because he was into that stillness where no thought was able to create any turbulence. And then there's this statement when he says, colossal container I of all things made. What a beautiful statement that is. Colossal container, which means that as a self, you are the universe. In that moment, when you go into stillness, you do not have to make an effort to become one with the universe, but suddenly you realize that everything is happening in you. Nothing is apart from you in that moment of stillness. There's another statement in the same poem where he says that all space like an iceberg floats within my mental sea. Where he has compared everything like an iceberg, and it is just like floating. You are just observing. If you see, the very basic technique which they teach us when we come on the path is Hong Song. And what do we do there? We just observe it. We don't control the breath. We just allow the flow, the way it is happening, and we just continue to observe it. And what are we doing with that? Yogananda said this will help you to develop concentration, but at the same time, you will gain strength in your awareness. And in that awareness, if you see, there was one time Swamiji was there, and he went into seclusion. Many of us are already in seclusion. Many of us will go into seclusion, and that's a very beautiful practice, as Anandita shared a few days back. What Dhyanaji wants, many of us, everybody of us, all of us actually should go into seclusion for short periods of time. And when Swamiji was there in this seclusion, he says he practiced Hong Song for longer periods of time. And then he came out with this wisdom, and this came up with this vision that Hong Song alone, if you practice sincerely and deeply, has the ability to give us self-realization. It is such a powerful technique because it will give you that awareness. And so if we are failing on that level where we are not able to hold on to the stillness, then these are the reminders that can help us. The final failure which came to my mind was when we have everything due to God's grace, but we fail to share it with our friends, family, and Guru Bhais. On an individual level, many of the disciples of Yogananda actually attained very high states. But Yogananda, if you remember what he said to Swami, that many of them have actually disappointed me, but only Rajarishi Janakananda. Which is not to say that they were not able to succeed in their own path to achieve that high state of self realization, which they accomplished, but they failed to share the gifts with others, which is to say, it was a kind of failure in a cosmic plan where they could have been used by the Almighty in that larger game of life. Because if you see, he also said that each one of you will have to liberate at least 6 more people to get to the final liberation. So this thought came to me that if we are failing in sharing our gifts, then think about those poor 6 people, those who had to have liberation through us. And each one of you, if you see, are a member of Future Saints Club, as it was reminded to us by Jyotish ji in Puri. So if each one of us is not doing our part, probably we are failing in that plan, where those who will get enlightenment through us, will somehow be, at a loss. If you remember, Yogananda also mentioned that in the family where a yogi is born, 7 generations forward and 7 generations backward, they are spiritually elevated. So it will be a disservice to our own family also if we are not giving our best in that regard, or if we are failing in that regard. So having talked of failure, now let me just conclude and come back to the same story which happened. This is the conversation which happened between Yogananda and Ananta. You know that Ananta was very materialistic. In the same family, if you see, one hand there was Nalini, who was deeply devoted to Master, and Ananta was, being an elder brother, he was absolutely dogmatic about it, that you must earn money. And there was this conversation which happened between Ananta and Yogananda, where he said, money first, God later, he said. Who knows, life could be too long. And then to this reminder, and Yogananda said, God first, money is his slave. Who knows, life could be short. And Yogananda actually knew what was going to come. But then Ananta was not able to take this statement. He said, okay, let me just test you. And we know that he sent him, he had a bet with him that, okay, you go, and if you can just have 3 meals in a day without a penny in your pocket and come back here, then only I'm going to accept this whole statement. Otherwise, it's just a fuzzy thought. And we know what happened in the end. In the end, Master came back, not only after having 3 sumptuous meals, but also money to spare, and put it on the desk in front of Ananta. And then, in a way, if you see, Ananta failed in his spiritual faith on that day. But every failure, as Pratik was reading through that book, where Swami writes that no failure is permanent. On the same day, if you see, Ananta accepted his failure, and he said, make me your disciple. I want to take Diksha from you. So you see what happened on that day? His failure became a stepping stone to success. Although he was born as a materialist, but when he left the scene as a Kriya Yogi. And then what you can actually expect what will be his trajectory in the next life, because he left the scene very soon, because in that life he had a very short life. So friends, the idea here is that many times in our own lives, God will make us lose the bet. Maybe we are betting on something, and God will purposely make us lose that bet, just like Ananta lost that bet on that day. Now, that is not the time to brood over your failure. Whenever those sadness and disappointments come, that is a time for introspection, of prayer, as Mansiji was saying. Go within, pray, ask for help, and you will see that help will come, and you can turn that failure into a stepping stone to success in that very moment. Because if you see one of the last shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, remember me alone, and I will free you from all sins. I will free you from all lesser dharmas. lesser duties. Do not grieve, as this is a faithful promise to you because you are dear to me. I mean, those beautiful words. And it is one of the concluding shlokas which come in Bhagavad Gita, where as a father or as a mother, because in the same chapter, I think in one of the chapters in Autobiography of a Yogi, when Yogananda is having this conversation with Divine Mother, that why are you having all these, sad parts in the story? And Divine Mother, at one time, she says, my sons are children of light. They will never sleep forever in delusion. Look at the words that she uses. My sons. And they are children of light, she said. And they will never sleep forever in delusion. Which means that Divine Mother will make sure that we never sleep forever in delusion, come what may. Because each one of us is a member of Future Club Saints. Okay, thank you.